Hey, so I'm Gigi, an ex-Amazon bar raiser here at Day One Careers. In this video, I'm going to take you through the slightly confusing topic of how to think about expressing at your Amazon interview impact that you've had on your previous companies. Now, do make sure, please, that you stay until the end of the video, where I'll be giving you an incredible freebie to nail your Amazon interview. So let's start by talking about why candidates tell me this is a confusing topic. And really, it's all to do with the most common word in the Amazon interview vocabulary, and that is metric. Now, I'm going to resist the temptation to give you a really boring lecture on the difference between a metric and a KPI. That's a key performance indicator for the uninitiated. And, let's just pretend that metrics is actually the right word to use. So I'm sure you have all heard that at an Amazon interview, you're supposed to use metrics. And I hear from many candidates that they're struggling to come up with metrics for their examples. My strong belief is that that's really because many of you just don't understand the intention behind the request for metrics, and that if you did, you'd find it a lot easier to come up with something. So we're going to rewind, and actually we're going to start from why does Amazon want metrics in your examples? So today's video is all about why Amazon is looking for metrics in your examples. Well, the answer is they're looking for evidence that you are able to deliver impact in your role. And the purpose of these metrics is simply as a reference point to quantify that impact. And when you consider it from that perspective, it does become a whole lot simpler, as instead of simply a number, you can start to think about things that can act as a reference point for your impact and then turn them into a number. So to try and bring this to life for you, I'm actually going to give you a real life example. So I was working with a candidate the other day, preparing for his interview. Now, this candidate comes from academia. He's a college professor, and his primary work really is teaching and research. So he was struggling with how to demonstrate the impact of taking over a really badly taught course and turning it into a really well-taught course. So we talked about why it mattered that this course got turned around, and it transpired that it was a fundamental knowledge area for at least 6 different PhD courses in his university, but that in recent years, 5 of those faculties had dropped the course from their syllabus because their students hated it so much. So this university was effectively churning out PhD students without a rigorous understanding of this subject, which would ultimately undermine their ability to compete with other PhD students in the job market. It is worth noting, I need to make this point, that my candidate was not currently teaching this course when it was so terrible, right? That's important to state. Okay, so from that, we drew the conclusion that my candidate's true impact of turning around the course was, firstly, how many faculties he managed to win back, and 2, how many students he managed to increase attendance from and to. So here are the metrics that we settled on. Moving into his second year of running the course, 2 of the faculties he had reintroduced the course to their syllabus, and by the end of the 3rd year running the course, the final 3 faculties had reintroduced it. Then the next impact we identified was that when he took over the course, only 30 students had enrolled. At the beginning of year 2, 97 students had enrolled. And by the beginning of year 3, 228 students had enrolled, increasing his acquired students by 660% over 3 years. So now we can clearly see his output impact of his input improvement of the course. So when you're thinking about impact, it can literally be anything. A period of time reduced, a quality improved, a volume of some unit increased or decreased as befits the scenario, a cost reduced, a resource requirement improved. Consider what you achieved as the input and its consequences as an output. But Gigi, what if I don't actually know the output consequences? All right, so I'm not going to lie to you. That's a bit trickier. So here's my suggestion. If you can come up with an approximation that's the next best thing, but you are going to have to be sure to let your interviewer know that it is an approximation.
After I recorded this video, I realised I had missed something important. So, rather than reset up my camera, relight my office, and put on my makeup, which my husband complains takes the same amount of time as redecorating a room, I came up with the genius idea of dropping in an audio snippet. So here it is. When you're quoting impact metrics, you do need to be prepared to explain how you measured that impact. Amazon is a measurement god, and all Amazonians are little acolytes of that measurement god. They will challenge and probe you on your measurement methodology, so be prepared.
But Gigi, what if I don't even have an approximation of the output consequence? Right, okay, so there's no dressing this one up. What you're going to need to do is really be clear with your interviewer why you don't have an impact assessment of your work. For example, did your company not track that type of data, or did your clients not make that type of information available to you? Now, please note that I didn't think to look into it is not a reason offered by bar-raising candidates, so don't use that one. Now, if there is literally no impact measurement that makes any sense in this scenario, well, in this case, you may be able to resort to something either anecdotal or maybe an accolade. So, for example, my customer contacted my manager and said I was the best whatever that they had ever worked with. Or maybe, as a result of this, I was awarded Employee of the Year. Now, I'll be honest with you, it won't go down as well as having specific output impact data, but sometimes, you just got to work with what you've got, right? So now go back to your example and ask yourself, why did it matter that I did what I did? And if I think about the achievement as an input, can I think about what the output it delivered was? And then, can I turn that output into some kind of number as a reference point? And that's it. That's how to think about expressing your Amazon interview impact. If you found that useful, please give it a thumbs up so that other candidates can benefit from it, or drop me a comment below. Now, what you need to do is click the link here to claim your free Day One Careers Customer Obsession Taster course. Watch that and you'll nail every customer obsession question asked of you in your Amazon interview. Or if you want to do that a little bit later, why don't you check out more here of our incredible insights and advice on Amazon interview preparation.